Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. I am Stephanie Contreras. Pleasure to be with you all tonight. And thank you for the people who are joining in on Zoom and watching this later in time to just really get connected to this conversation of following through, which is awesome. Always a challenging time, and we just managed to expand through whatever challenges come at us. Okay, so my name is Stephanie Contreras. I am an entrepreneur, coach, and just really out here to really make a difference, and I'm really excited. I'm also just a businesswoman. I'll share a little bit about myself, but I do want to go ahead and get my PowerPoint up here now with you guys so that you guys can follow along with me in my PowerPoint, since I have created something to stay on track. So here we are. And I want to welcome everyone who's on with us live as well. And what we're sharing tonight, again, is from the Business Fitness Forum. I have created just a platform to be able to deliver information and just create a little bit of a brand around it so that people can recognize who I am, and really what I stand for is business and fitness, and relationships is what Forum is all about. Okay. And so I've had the privilege of working a few things. And as I mentioned, I'm a coach, trainer, and entrepreneur. And so as an entrepreneur, I want to explain a little bit about my background. For the people who are new, I started in business as going to school, and I actually just graduated when I was younger at 22. I got my master's in business, and I chose business administration because I knew as a little girl I wanted to run my father's construction company. So that is my background. I started working in his company when I was 19. Then I had the privilege of working with a company called Enagic. And as I share what I've been doing, I haven't stopped doing any of it. I've just grown and expanded more. Okay, so with Enagic, I have been with since I was actually 18. My parents joined the company, but I decided to join the company when I was 20. So at 19, I started my first business was in tutoring. So I used to charge people $20 an hour, a 2-hour minimum. And I used to just teach math students. And it's always been my pleasure to help people get to from where they are to where they want to be. So that's always been exciting for me because I love creating strategy. I love making it exciting for people to break through. And I like literally fight to break through whatever it is that I want. And so I carry that type of love and just want to give that away to the world. Okay. So I put on, so my business with Enagic, I have been with since I was 20. I decided to join the business of Enagic after I learned the science of the water. Okay, so I was skeptical for 2 years. My parents were actually in this business 2 years prior to me actually joining the business, and they opened up a business under my name and started working the business under me because they put themselves under me. So I learned a lot about structure. They've done some things right in structure, and then I've come back into the family business to structure more of our. So I do believe and teach a lot on structure because it's definitely necessary for success. And me and my father were actually just having this conversation. So I'll share about that today because it has a lot to do with just following through and growing and expanding. And so with Enagic, I learned skills like presentation. I've learned training and developing skills. And I've always seen it as be in that kind of business that is going to expand you. And really everything expands you if you allow it to. So that's another part of this training as well. And so everything just really does come together. I chose to do this, my third business, which is the Business Fitness Forum, simply through COVID. Actually, I saw it as an opportunity to expand this business since I got some money from the PPA loan. And I decided that starting a business would be something I would be interested in because I wanted to start something from scratch. So the construction company, my father started it. And Enagic is one of those turnkey businesses where you can join and everything is literally already set up for you to win. What's set up? The product's set up. The checks get sent to you. So you don't even have to worry about accounting, right? It's only your personal accounting. But what's awesome is that there's already a lot that's set up for you to simply come into the business and learn the skills that you're ready to pick up on. And for me, it was presentation. Actually, like even the basic skills from learning to a handshake, really networking is another skill that I really picked up from being in Enagic. And so all of that I'm using now to build something where I can teach these skills to other people and provide these kinds of trainings and this content to just have more content flowing through my YouTube as well. So I'm really excited. It's been definitely challenging, but even this topic tonight of following through is one of those things where it's teaching me. So as I become now an entrepreneur and coach and trainer further and really establish myself as that, believe me, I've had to like break through a lot of things personally, and I'm still even, in places where I want to pull back rather than follow through. And that's the kind of conversation we're going to have tonight. So when you're in that place of being pushed up against, do I just keep going or do I just find another route? Do I make a left or do I make a right or do I just keep going straight? Right. And I'm sure we've all faced that kind of situation, and we're never going to stop facing that kind of situation. So I really want to have a conversation around that and, start thinking for yourself. How do you respond when you just want to give up? Right? What do you do? Do you even recognize what you do? Do you do you ask for help or do you just give up and say and find an excuse? And so some of that's going to be here shared tonight. But before I get started, I want to share with you guys part of my structure and how I stay committed to the Business Fitness Forum, which is Kate. She is my virtual assistant in this business that I have hired her to really recognize that I didn't start it small. I hired someone to challenge myself, and I said, well, I have someone I have to pay, so I definitely have to be interested in making this work. And that's been a very tough decision, but I made that decision up front. Like I mentioned, I had a lot of the money from the SBA, and I said, well, let me invest in developing myself a little bit. And in that process, I had a trainer who taught me about virtual assistants. And I thought, well, that's better than hiring an assistant here in the United States. They're a little bit more expensive. And I really love that virtual assistants are very well developed in just the social media and content development. And I really found a place for her in this business. So it's been awesome. And I will give Kate an opportunity to introduce herself as well. So Kate, go ahead.
Thank you, Stephanie. All right, so good evening again, everyone. And welcome to our first timer. So we have two, Mizael, and who is the other one? I forgot his name.
Steve.
The one who, hmm?
Steve.
Steve. Sorry, Steve. Yeah, good evening to you, Steve and Mizael. Thank you for being with us tonight, and surely your presence will make this event more joyful and memorable. So, in the middle of our discussion, we will have a short sharing time with you guys. So, in there, you can share your thoughts, ideas, and of course, I and Stephanie are also excited to listen to all of your ideas and thoughts. And um, just a little information about virtual assistant for the two first timers here. So, while I am the one who is contacting those people who are here tonight, and I'm really glad that you did it tonight. So being a VA is just like a secretary in the office. That's why Stephanie said that it's kind of expensive if she will hire there the personal the personal secretary. So it's more expensive compared to if you have a VA. And I am from Philippines, by the way. So being a VA is just like a secretary in the office, and I know that you have ideas about VA, so I don't want to make this longer. And I believe that in every trainings that we had, there are different lessons to get. So again, this is Kate from Philippines, and I just want to leave a quote to you. Always remember that God doesn't give you what you want. He creates the opportunity for us to do so. So thank you, and just enjoy the training.
Thank you, Kate. And that's awesome. Yes, that is one thing we definitely share is our love for God, which I think is what was so perfect with having somebody to keep me, just really excited about what this project is about, because it became not about me, but really being able to support her in the Philippines in her lifestyle. And I just want to also share that she will soon be getting married, so that's also really exciting. We can just give her a little celebration or applause for that. That's a really big deal. So she's a woman of commitment, which is exciting. And no doubt she will follow through on that one, right? So I will go ahead and get started. And I want to just share with you guys a little bit about how these trainings have been. I started the training with mindset, strategy, and lifestyle. Those were the topics on our first series. We did our second series on belief, action, and victory. And we're now in the new series of commitment, follow through, and reward. So as you can see, these are just all one word topics. They've been topics that have been just very moving and really exciting for me to just create content and come through and be sharing these kinds of topics. They're really, like I mentioned, have expanded me, and I hope that tonight you get a lot of expansion in it yourself. And I want you to treat it as a training. This is a training for you, but for now, I definitely want to keep the environment very just so we can all be present. Please mute yourself and feel free to unmute yourself when you would like to have a conversation or add to the training. This is training for you, so feel free to contribute. And the more you contribute is what you will get out of the training. So grab a notebook and a pen. I recommend to listen attentively. And as I mentioned, the more you contribute, the more you'll get out of the training. So I definitely want you guys to share from what's showing up for you, okay, as you are present with us. So I always start off with a definition, but there is no definition for actually following through. What I wanted to share about following through is it's really about your attitude, okay? So we're now in the training. And your attitude is, it's a settled way of thinking or feeling about someone or something, typically one that is reflected in a person's behavior. A position of the body proper to or implying an action or mental state, and truculent or uncooperative behavior, a resentful or antagonistic matter. So this is just definitions, and I love using definitions because we can start pulling topics out of the definition. But it's a way of thinking or feeling about someone or something, right? And so a lot of what stops us when we're going to follow through, which is really funny, but it's simply that how we view ourselves and how we feel about ourselves and how we're feeling at that moment really starts to get in the way of, oh my gosh, I have to break through, right? And in that moment of breaking through is you're faced with choices. And that's what's really important about life, is like really starting to get present to this as this is what's going on. And that's what I've been so excited to like learn about in life. Like, why do people do what they do? Right? That's what coaches have to figure out. Why are people doing what they're doing? So that I can help them do something differently, so that I can help them create a new behavior, a new attitude, which will then cause a new result, or a new action, which will then create a new result. Right? And so I love this whole topic about attitude, but the goal is learn to prepare before making commitments by choosing simply your attitude. Okay. And that is really where I found is like, whoa, okay, I just dropped it on you. Like, are you aware of the attitude that you create when you're creating it? Because a lot of times they are automatic. So if your attitude is automatic, then your decision making is automatic, and then your results are very similar to actually holding you back. Okay, they're actually what creates more problems when you're not prepared to learning to choose your attitude. And that's one thing that I've picked up truly from just developing myself. And more than anything, I think what's exciting is starting to see it in other people and how it's very, very, very automatic. Okay. And what I realized is that creates and causes a lot of this is simply not being aware of it. So I want you to start to get aware in the future, because right now we're in training, but even maybe now, right? Because every moment is a decision to like step up and do something and say something new. Okay. That happens at every turn of decisions that you make. So even, why does your attitude matter? Well, it will cause you to treat commitments based on your already set mindset of what commitments mean to you, right? So it, even want to share with like, at what level do you commit? Are you halfway in? Are you halfway out? And this is all for you, okay, guys? I really want you to get that you're sitting in front of this training, and I'm a coach throwing these things at you for you to question, how do I commit? At what level do I commit? And I'm talking about in business, in relationships, in friendships, in all areas of life. When you want to do something that really means something to you, are you all in and always finding ways to make sure that you're creating something to happen? Or do things just start getting stopped? Like, do you just kind of see yourself sitting on the sidelines, waiting for somebody else to ask you to take a move? Like, and there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you're aware that that's what's happening. Are people having to constantly push you to show up and show up a certain way? There's nothing wrong with that. But you got to ask yourself, are you committed to that kind of behavior? Because that's where you want to look if you're actually causing yourself, or are you still in a place almost like you need somebody to help you? There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, okay, I want you to get that. Maybe that's somewhere where you got to look and see, oh, I'm actually in need of someone to push me. And that's when you can say, you know what, I do need a coach. I don't need a coach, or I just need a friend, or I need a business partner. It's really about finding where, being aware of where you are so that you can make that next decision and be able to start creating what you want, right? That's how you start to create that action of following through. Now, it's more about how you see yourself too. I can't ask for help because then that would mean X, Y, and Z about me. Or they're going to think that, I can't do it by myself, right? How you view actually needing support is a very huge thing about how you see yourself. Oh, they're going to think I'm dumb if I ask for help, right? And that's very huge because that's not true, but you might be telling yourself that in the back of your head, so you'd rather try to figure things out on your own, right? One of the things for sure is that if we want to get somewhere and we know people around us have already been there, why not ask them how they did it? Why not get ideas of how you can keep moving forward? Give them your scenario, right? They've already learned how to break through for themselves. So this is all, and I've always said this is like one of my most favorite quotes to say, is that you're always one conversation away from everything you want in your life. And having yourself being committed in friendships, relationships, groups of people, even just one-on-one phone calls, having setting up appointments, those are all commitments. So the more you do that, the more you will find yourself in these exciting conversations, and everything gets created through a conversation. Even when you decide to pull back, hey, I'm not going to follow through with that. Either that person says, okay, great, no problem, and then you start creating, well, people don't really care if I don't follow through, right? And then you start being like that in every area of your life because nobody cares, right? And that becomes your excuse. So I'm not saying none of this is true for you, but I want you to start to find, what is it for you when you're faced with, for example, I have a few areas that I still haven't truly followed through. And I realized that I'm in a program called Landmark. And I always mention this because, oh, that's even another one. I'm going to share even about that. I actually committed to doing the program of Landmark a few months back. And that was because my trainer called me and she asked me, would you like to review the program? And I said, you know what? Because you called me, yes. Because obviously, if it wasn't important for her to make those calls, if she wasn't committed to that program, she just wouldn't have showed up. So, how I view people who show up and actually call and reach out is like, hey, they need something, they're interested. So, one of my very automatic ways to be is somebody called me, I need to call them back. Okay, that's automatic. And if I'm busy, sometimes I'm like, oh Lord, I want to call them back. And I'm like dying to call them back, and I keep that in the back of my mind. And so I honor people when they actually reach out. Now, there's times when I'm just simply not interested in whatever they're offering me, but I don't just string them along or avoid them, right? I literally pick up the phone and say, that's not something I'm interested in. Close that door and let those committed people go seek what they're looking for, but be a part of their process to help them know that they should keep looking, right? Not keep bugging you for something that you're not interested in. But you are equally responsible for allowing them to go after what they want. And so being committed to others when they're committed to you, even if you're on their list, right? Most of us here are entrepreneurs. So having that straight conversation with somebody and letting them know I'm not interested or I am interested, being very openly communicative so that it creates an atmosphere for everyone to win, right? And this is a behavior. Most times it's like, oh, I'm just going to avoid it. Oh, I don't want to talk to them, right? And asking yourself, what is that creating in your life? If anything, it creates more distance with people, and distance is never good if you want people to get close to you. So be careful because, like they say, what goes around comes around, right? So if we want to start having people honor us, let's honor others first, right? I've always like, if that's what you're trying to receive, let's give that back as well, right? And that's just a way to live, but I don't know if we recognize when people call you and ask you, hey, would you buy my product? Would you be a part of my program? Would you be in this? Would you do this? Would you do that? If you don't even answer, it says a lot about, you turning down people feels like it's not right, or I shouldn't, or I'm just not going to answer. That's a good enough turn down. Right. And the reality is, again, that's not a conversation. That's just a reaction. So you got to be present to, if that's my reaction, why am I reacting that way? Do I not honor them, or do I not, or do they just bother me? But it's like, you got to recognize there's someone on that other side who's asking for a response, right? So that's just a great way to recognize that everyone, not only does your attitude matter, but relationships matter. Therefore, your attitude on how you treat relationships is very important. Now, commitments cause you to create a new world that you're going to live into. And you're never fully present to what the commitment will entail, because commitment is about the future. Okay. So that's also something important to recognize, is that when you commit to something, you really don't know where it's going to take you. But obviously, you make commitments based on your excitement, based on what you think it'll bring you, and what you're going to get back from it. And that's really important for you to continue to stay excited like the first day you committed. Now, who you see yourself as is who you exude. So all decisions made, consciously or unconsciously, are based on how you're viewing yourself. And that's really just because your attitude is showing up a certain way. And when you're challenged, you act a certain way. When you're excited, you act a certain way. So, what's really exciting about really just starting to monitor your attitude is even to take some time to respond to things, or recognize how you're feeling about something, and start to analyze why you even feel that way. And it's just really about being more conscious about who you are, and following through just becomes easier. Making commitments becomes easier when you're present to how you're showing up. Okay, that's all this is about, because it really comes down to what can we do to start following through with everything that we want. Because what I'm recognizing in my life is that there's a lot more things in my way than I want to be in my way for me to have everything that I want. That's a me thing, right? I'm pretty sure it's a human thing, actually. But there's a lot more things in my way that I need to conquer before I can create everything that I want. And every single day is an opportunity to clean that up, to like rectify that kind of behavior, to become that person. It's not what you're going to do, it's who you become along the way. So we shouldn't be so interested in what we're going to get out of it, but be interested in what your attitude is like today, what your behavior is like today. And I think that this has been one of the greatest things for me that's challenged me to become better. Now, you can only know where you are when you know where you are going, when you know where you are. Okay. And that's just a basic truth, that if you don't even know where you are today, you don't know what strategies you have to create, what loops you have to get through in order to create what you want to create. And so, becoming aware of where you are. So start with being honest about how you see yourself, right? This is just a little tip here. And ask yourself, do you care what others think about you? But truthfully, because a lot of times we can just automatically, no, I don't care. But ask yourself, do you truly care about what others think about you? Because if I had to sit back and look, most of what I think negatively is based on a fear of what others may think. So those fears are coming in because we are looking at them from an exterior standpoint rather than an interior standpoint. So causing a breakthrough is going to help you when you simply ask this question to yourself and truly answer it from, ask yourself, do you care what others think about you? And if you're stopped in anything in your life, the answer is truly yes. Like, you can't fool yourself and think, no, I really don't. Because if not, you would do whatever it takes in order to break through, because it's internal. So, what's in your way before the internal state can be worked on is what's exterior, which is what are others going to think? So, that's the first step, is really asking yourself, what do I care what others think? Do I care how the outcome's going to turn out? What other, like, you can think all the way to the outcome and think, what are others going to think if I fail at this? Right? That's again another thing that's going to stop us from following through. Now, do you expand or shrink as you make commitments? When people are asking you to commit, do you expand? Are you excited to commit? Are you like, yeah, let's do this? Or are you like, I don't know, that's going to take a little bit of time out of my day. That's going to cause me to not have enough time to work on these other things. Like, what's the automatic thought that comes in when you're starting to make commitments or when people are asking you to commit? You know, are you present to it? Are you present to it? Like, is like question number maybe 5 or 6 in here, right? Now, do you like or dislike committing? Again, I'm too busy for commitment. I've had times like that when people call me and they're like, by the way, can you help me with this? I'm like, no, I can't help you. I got enough things that I need to help other people on. You know, and I'm like freaking out because I'm like, I don't want to fail you. I don't want to, not do what I say I'm gonna do because it's gonna mean that I'm just not a good person or that I'm not as powerful as I think I am, right? I freak out because I'm just like, I got enough things on my plate, and that's something that I personally got to work on, and it's a constant work for myself because I'm constantly choosing everything that I want to do. Like, I'm like, okay, well, I want to do all these things. I don't want to, pull back, and I can be very honest. I'm like, do I really need to do this training thing that I committed to? I'm like, no, I really want to do it. I really do think that creating content is going to be a good decision long term, right? People will look at this 5 years from now and it's developing me through the process. Like being here tonight is not a walk in the park. I make it happen, but it's not a walk in the park, And so asking yourself, are you that type of person that does whatever it takes for your goals, for your commitments? And do you recognize there is a need for expansion in you when you open a new door, also known as commit to something new? So and that's awesome if you do recognize it and you start to think like, okay, well, now that I have something new in my life, like, and I want to say this even as you're expanding, and I actually would like to, I know this is kind of out of random, but I'd love to ask Brittany and put you on the spot because I see that, you obviously brought a team member on here today, and that's always a new commitment, and it's a new commitment in that it's a new opportunity to grow somebody, but it's for you to grow. And it's like, what I love about expansion is that it's never only about you, it's always mutual, right? And that's why we want to keep doing it. Because if I decided I'm not going to be here tonight, basically contract and pull back, nobody would be available or here tonight. If I didn't show up and you guys all showed up, you guys would think I'm not really committed, right? I think my next slide might actually say this. I know I created a slide on everything that happens. I'm going to go to that one really quick. When you don't follow through, you create a mindset about how future experiences will be, and that causes you to begin to pull back, or you actually just pull back, right? When you don't follow through, you just start pulling back on a bunch of things. I've been here. I've been like, oh, I need to cut this, I need to cut that. Sometimes we blame others, we create excuses and we give up. Or worst part is we create a mindset about ourselves that doesn't work, about negativity. So I wanted to ask, what has it been like for you to, I know that you've fought to basically get through the mindset of like, I can't even have a team. Like, it's not even possible. I know you shared that personally. So I've listened to that, and that's awesome because you're aware, like, oh, that was there. I didn't even know that was there, and obviously following through with your commitments also creates confidence. So that's another great thing. But I wanted to ask you, are you present to like, okay, expanding actually is a commitment for me? And what do you find that commitment will bring to your life and the lives of other people around you?
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Steph, you're amazing. Thank you so much. I love you, girl. I'm so glad to catch this training tonight. And yes, we have a couple new team members on, and I am so blessed and so grateful. Expansion is definitely a commitment. Something that I realized through my journey was that, yes, you can be successful alone, but it's a lot more fun when you are doing it with other people and when you are impacting and shifting lives along with yours. Because I can teach people things, but they teach me a lot in return as well. I learn from everybody, and I'm always open to learning. And I think you have to be committed to leading, but also giving the tools and the rest of the leadership team a chance to lead as well. I mean, and that's why we're all on here tonight. We're here to support you and your training, but you're our leader. You're our leader in eMagic. And so for us, it's like we're committed to that. We're committed to learning from you. And so thank you again. I'm grateful. But yeah, it's definitely a commitment. It's a commitment to learning, to growing other leaders, to duplicating the process, to having others be successful right along with us. Like, we all want to win, but it does take a certain skill set, a certain mindset. I love that you brought up attitude. It does take a certain attitude to be successful, especially in our business, because it's not always going to be, cakes and rainbows. There are hard times, there are seasons. And so, especially in our business, it's just important to stick together, expand together, grow our minds together. But it does definitely take a certain level of commitment, especially to be on this team. So thank you so much, Steph.
You're very welcome. Yes. And I see we have Steve clapping for you, but I also want to clap. And you're absolutely right that, one of the things, and I'm going to tap into network marketing simply because, most of our team is that as well. And I want to teach on subjects that matter for us as well, is that network marketing is definitely one of those personal development types of businesses, right? Every business is, but especially network marketing, in that you're always opening new doors. So how you treat those new doors is very important. Like, oh, well, that one doesn't matter. Oh, well, that, we start to discard, and we start to, I mean, it's not a bad thing because we got to qualify the people that are our prospects. But, oh, that one's never going to buy. That one's, like, when we shut those doors out, it really talks more about, and it's like, once we start to shut them out, we forget that actually it's my job to also influence a yes, and it's like, so it says a lot about how we take rejection, and rejection is a big thing in sales overall, right? And so I find that that's where we actually can create a lot of opportunity through the rejection, because you want to find, what's the objection over there? Are they saying no because I haven't given them enough information? Or are they saying no because they think they can't afford it? Are they saying no because I haven't given them enough information on how they can afford it? And like really being interested in shifting something, but not taking it personal. Because again, when we start to do that, it again becomes an external problem. They're the ones that don't want it. But the reality is, you made it about them when you're the one who's truly not committed to making something happen inside of you. Or you're going to, what ends up happening is nobody wants it. Yeah. Like, tell ourselves these things, and then everybody we start talking to becomes a nobody wants it. And that's where we have to come from, like the inner, you know what, if I wanted it, others are going to want it. I just need to allow myself to receive those people who are going to come into my life who are ready. So I'm just going to keep on keeping on, as in keep on developing myself, keep on showing up, and I'm going to be excited in the process. That's why attitude is important, because we can keep showing up, but it's like, oh, I'm not really open and interested in really listening. I've heard the same thing over and over. And that attitude will start to wreck the plan of even making something happen, right? It really, you're shutting out. Again, it's an internal problem rather than an exterior problem, because everything we want is already out there. We all know that. So it's, how are you going to follow through to make sure to commit to gravitate it towards you? Opening yourself up, like, why, what is there? It's always something, and we call it blind spots. Landmark is really great about talking about this, where it's a blind spot. You can't see it. You don't even know that it's there. Okay. And the goal is to get present with people and start to even listen to that little voice inside our heads to say, oh, well, that's what's there, and realize, like, it should literally bother you. It should be like, whoa, like, it should be in your face, like when you finally see it. And then you've got to choose, like, what am I going to create from this? And it really does come from a creation. So Thank you, Brittany. I wanted to have somebody share, but if there's anybody else who would like to share, maybe something that you're, starting to create and you can see like pushback or like you're pulling back, any of these symptoms here. And I'm actually going to go over, sorry, I'm just moving around the slides. But I wanted to find the slide where I also talk about what causes us not to follow through. So that you can recognize like, oh yeah, I'm dealing with that. Not being clear on what is expected in order to follow through with your commitments, not like really knowing what's next or what to do. Distractions, having too many things to do that you can't even stay focused on one thing. Lack of confidence or fear that you're not good enough or that you don't have the tools or that it's too much or that others don't want it. Rejection. It's all coming from lack of confidence, and this is considered fear. Too many commitments, as I mentioned. Unwillingness to do whatever it takes. Really, that's a behavior. Lack of structure and lack of support. I'm going to talk about that and give you guys an example. And I just want to hear, like, what are you guys dealing with? I'm going to share with you what I'm dealing with. And I really want others to open up and tell me, like, this isn't a Stephanie phenomenon. This is a really, like, it's happening in our world, and we need to support each other in recognizing I do see my stuff. And when you see it, believe me, others start to open up and realize their own things. So we need someone to step up right now, okay? Discouragement, not sharing your commitments with others or keeping them to yourself. I don't want you guys to be that way right now. We're in training. So the more you contribute, the more you're going to get. But I'll share with you guys a conversation that I had prior to this meeting, okay? So I was with my father, and my father's my boss in the construction company. And ever since I was a little girl, I've always said, I want to run my dad's construction company, right? That was the only reason I went to school and I graduated, and I wanted to, really get prepared through education. And that was why I chose business. And that's just been a goal for me because I was always so grateful. I had the privilege of seeing my parents build their home, and it's a big home, and it's beautiful. And I was always just very appreciative of that experience, that I thought, I got to keep this going. I got to keep a legacy going. And I actually heard one of my cousins, he spoke this at my uncle's funeral. My uncle passed away from cancer, which was the reason my parents decided to jump in and Kangan as well, because my father was actually, I believe he was 46, and my uncle passed away at 46. So he was afraid that he would, get sick, or he was like, anything I could do to prevent it, I'll do it, and which has been a huge blessing to us. And my cousin, which was my uncle, was his dad. He mentioned in his funeral, he said, my dad may have been a little short guy with little feet, but he left really big shoes to fill. And I thought, like, whoa, those words really hit me, and he was a great man. He was a great entrepreneur. He actually, one of my youngest cousin, from his sons, one of his sons, he's running to be politician for Tecate, which is the state that my dad and my mom are from. It's like big deal. These kids, like, nothing stops them, like they just keep going at it. They're great people. And so my father, and we, what my cousin said actually is what impacts how I view my father and our life and our business. I'm grateful for what my cousin said. He said, my father took us from A to B. And actually, my uncle said this to my cousin when he was on his deathbed. He says, son, I took you from A to B. You need to take the family from B to C. Whatever that looks like, you keep moving the family forward. And he gave him that responsibility. And when I heard those words, it impacted me so heavily, where I thought, wow, like, I need to do that for my family, and it was inspiring, though. It wasn't a pressure. It was, I'm capable because if my cousin could do it, if my uncle said it, that's in my DNA. Like, I saw it as so totally possible, and that's an attitude. That's my behavior towards this. And so I want to give that away, like that. And it comes from a place of inspiration. It's not a pressure. It's simply, how can I help? And so I started getting hungry at, like, how can I help my family? How can I help my family? And everything I do is literally to help my family. And I think most people can think like that. But again, it has to come from a place that I'm inspired to do this, and that I truly believe it's possible, because if not, it just becomes a huge pressure. Now, my father and I were talking literally 35 minutes before this that we started this training. That's when I had a meeting with him right now. He just got back from work and I'm like, hey, I gotta have a meeting with you. It is like the most important thing right now, right? And I told him, Dad, we need to structure your businesses more. And he said this to me. He said, there's no point of structuring if you don't have enough money to structure. And I'm and I thought to myself, I'm so glad you're sharing that, because that thought in itself is what's stopping our pool to come together and structure together. Because guess what? Who pulls on structure? Me. But a partnership is about people being on two people being on the same page. So he has this thought. What's really funny is last week, I was all stressing out because we have a huge payment on hold, and my dad's on collect, 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 collect. And I'm like, well, we haven't even collected that check. I'm not really inspired to collect all the baby checks along the way. So we were both on different pages. He's like, if we know that big check is not coming, why aren't you inspired to get the little checks? And I told him, I was like, because I'm afraid that if we get those little checks, we're going to spend it, and I need that money to pay the employees. And I told him, so I'd rather wait on Thursday to get the money so that it's ready by Friday. And that's all I'm going to worry about. And he's like, well, that's your problem. And I'm like, yeah, I told you my problem. Now tell me your problem. And so this is how our conversations get. And I'm telling you, it's following through and making things happen. It sometimes becomes a fight together. And really what we're fighting is our barriers, what we can't see. And that's why it becomes very, very difficult to create together with partners and teams and building. I never understood this, by the way. I'm barely getting present and like shedding it all away, because it's like there's always barriers, and the barriers are what hold you back. And you need to stop and look, what's the thing that's in my head that doesn't allow me to connect and create a space of communication and create a space of unity with my partners, right? Whether you see it like something's not valuable enough, or like me, I didn't think it was valuable enough to pick up the little tiny checks because I thought I don't want to spend the money. And he's like, and in my dad's head, he needs to pick up that money because we need it for Friday. And I'm like, yeah, but I'd rather pick it up on Thursday. And he's like, well, that's your problem again. And I'm like, I know my problem. Do you know yours? So we have no structure because my dad says, well, we don't have enough money to structure. But I'm like, well, with the money, I already told them we already created a structure for one business. I need you to help me create a structure for your Enagic business. My mom needs to create a structure for her Enagic business. I have my businesses structured. And this is the thing, doing things for others, okay, because I work under my parents. So doing things for others is not only about getting it done, okay? So like even when we start training our distributors, Brittany, it's not, I've always done things for others. And this is why I'm saying this. I've always like, well, I do it better, so let me just do it in my mind, right? We are creating people that are dependent. We need to grab them by the hand and be like, look, we're walking this thing together, but I need to find out what's over there. What's over there that doesn't let you do it on your own? I have people who are afraid to do demonstrations, and it's like, but why? Well, because you do them great, and I don't know that I'm going to do them that great, right? That's going to stop them. But it's like, if we're aware of this, we need to shift that. We need to realize, why do we do demonstrations, right? We need to do demonstrations for others, not because it looks good. We need to do demonstrations because we need to be an army of people who give a message, right? So that's where we need to be standing from as we build a team. Is I'm delivering a message, and everybody has got to be a messenger. Okay. And whatever you do in your life, you're a messenger. Okay. Whether it's the message is, I'm going to be an employee for the rest of my life. That's a message. That's fine. We can leave you alone. We're not going to change that. But if you say I'm going to be an entrepreneur, then I'm going to be like, okay. And what does that look like? All right. Well, you're the face of your business. So what does that look like? And do you mind? Can I call on Steve now, since now I just brought up the conversation? You are an entrepreneur, my friend. Actually, I don't know your background. Can you give me a little bit of background on who you are? And I know Brittany's gotten to know you, but I have not. So I'd love to know you and ask you, what does it look like in your head to follow through as an entrepreneur? And what do you do first, though, before being an Enagic distributor?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. I got involved through through Nicole, who I work with, and Brittany, wonderful Nicole, was able to hook me up, and
Yeah.
so I was able to get some good water going, and I enjoy it, and it's like I can't imagine life without it. So that tells you everything, and if you believe in a product, or if you believe in something, then it's so much easier to to tell someone else and share with someone else, so I believe being an entrepreneur, obviously all the things that you were talking about, follow through, commitment, attitude is everything. It's everything. You got to have a positive attitude, for everything. And, I think it's having a high life condition. And that's something that, I believe in prayer, and I'm very, very strong in that. I'm Buddhist. So, I'm very devout, practicing Buddhist, and I chant a lot, and that vibration actually is something that increases my awareness, and you self reflect when you meditate and chant, and so anyhow, I have respect for all religions, so I'm not putting down anyone, I'm just letting my practice, but I believe being part of this is uh, again is a commitment. I'm learning about it, so I'm still very new at this, but I am loving I'm loving this. I mean, again, it's like I couldn't even imagine putting anything else in my body. I mean, water, and then Kangen water. It's everything. It's every aspect of your intake of your health. So I've want to share my background, as you asked, Stephanie. I'm an art director, graphic designer, illustrator, and I've been at it for many years. I have a art degree, a fine art degree, a graphics design art degree as well. And so that's my background in profession. But um, again, I'm also a salesperson. I used to sell solar, so that I believe is everything is in line with what you are talking about, and it's the same kind of mindset. It takes an attitude, and the attitude is positive, and having strength, courage, confidence, and wisdom. And being able to apply these certain things, which I'm still learning, you guys. I'm still a little baby, still in this. So I have a lot to learn, but I'm eager. I'm a sponge. I'm wanting to know about it. And thank you so much again for giving me the time, to talk and share. And I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Very welcome. One more question. What would you like to see, or what would success look like for you in your first year of an adjunct?
$1,000,000.
Oh, okay. Well, that might take 100,000 people. Are you ready?
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Well,
No, success to me is being happy. It's not materialistic at all. It's being in, like you said, it's internally, being happy internally inside. And again, if I believe in something like I do, then it's so much easier to share. And so for me, what success looks like to me is sharing with others, and when they're happy and enjoying this product, and realizing the health is uh, aspects that you get from this, it's just wonderful. And so that's, to me, that's my vision.
Okay. So how many families would you like to help this first year of you being in this new journey?
Well, as many as I can.
Okay, let's define that a little bit more. So okay, let's get not from the year down to 1 month. So we get your machine installed maybe in the next week, right, or so, and from there, right, Brittany? That's correct. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It should be delivering, and then you will receive it, and then we get it installed for you. And we do whatever that takes, because that's definitely, I'm a little plumber girl, so I might be the one under your faucet soon. But the whole point is we get that machine installed, and then it's a very I want to ask you this to make it something you can start to go after very easily. Okay, I like to break things down. So and I was trained this way, so this is why I'm like, we got to get down to like, well, I don't know what that looks like, right? Let's get that out of the way. I want clarity for you and for me and for all of us to succeed, and for those people that you're committed to changing their lives, of course. So what that would look like is the greatest part about this whole business. I think I when you become a distributor, I think it becomes a little too easy to be a distributor, where you're like, I just want to give water to everybody. Now it's become something that I'm so addicted of doing, because I know that there is something behind it. But you give, you receive. God always takes care of us. You give, you will receive. And so I get addicted to like, who wants water? Right. But then there becomes, you know what? I got to start putting some legwork, because we get attached to giving water and we forget that it is still a business, and enjoying getting that happiness out of receiving those checks in the mail is part of getting the whole benefit of this business. It's not just sharing the water, it's not just sharing the information, it's not just getting the benefits, is helping people truly become independent for themselves. As in, like you have. You're going to have your own machine. No one's going to have to baby you and give you water anymore. You're going to have your own. Okay? That's a huge commitment from these two women. They had to create something in their head and say, well, we're doing this demo to give him this opportunity so that he can make a decision for himself. And that decision has been made, right? And what privilege, like you said, I don't want to drink any other water. So we need to go create that thought and that feeling in other people, right? And following through with that would be, I'm going to call them. I'm going to ask them to share some water. I'm going to drop off that water, like I said I would, or have them come over and pick it up. And then you're going to ask them, can I share the information with you? Because the information will give you the opportunity to make a decision. And that's how simple this becomes, right? And so the hardest part is saying, I'm going to now ask for that opportunity to open the door to creating the space to making them have a place to make a decision. So we create that. It's an environment we create. And then getting very skillful in that process to where it's no longer like, oh, I'm selling them. Oh, they need to pull their credit card. Oh, I gotta, like it needs to disappear, because it's not about the fear. Now we got to look at it as, okay, what does a sale represent? It represents them becoming independent, having their own machine, and also having a business like you have now. You have a business now that literally can give you $1 million, which is what you would want. This business can give you that. I want you to, I have some YouTube videos, and I have a training called the 7 stages of the Enagic distributor. And in this training, you will find that stage 6 is millionaire. And after you become a millionaire, there's more to get. It's called a passive income earner. Okay. And there's millionaires in this business. So I want you to keep getting excited. Being happy is part of being excited. Okay. I'm still excited about Enagic 11 years later. I'm still excited. And I'm still excited to be a 6A2-3 to make $5,000 a month. Okay. And what does that look like? Not giving up, following through. And there's seasons. I was in a dead season, and I'm like to be honest about it, because not all seasons is like running seasons. Okay. I've had seasons where my business expanded over 200 sales within, a couple years. And then there's been seasons where it's like, oh, okay, COVID hit. We no longer get to do demonstrations in our training center or in our office. So now all right, I guess this thing will slow down and I'll focus on other projects for the time being. But now that things are opening up, I'm like, okay, people are showing up to different places. I'm going to give water. I'm going to come to people's homes. I'm going to start putting myself in that place again. Right. So we, just again, that's me knowing where I was and you knowing where you are. It's like, okay, I'm going to stay excited. And I want you to start with, you know what? My first sale. Set that goal. When will you have that first sale? Because that's going to be a breakthrough for you. Well, no, I don't want to sell. No, yes, you do. Yes, we do. You will know what it feels like to truly be happy when you create a space for somebody to make a decision, which is a commitment to changing their life. And that's one of the things that we've got to like helping another person find themselves, in even in a spiritual realm, right? Every religion has it. I don't care what religion we're a part of. Helping another person find themselves is part of I made a difference. Okay. At least guiding that person through that process. So tell me, what would it look like to have your first sale, or when would that date be? You can even say in a year. I really don't mind. I just want you to think, do we want it next week? Do we want it in a month? Do we want it in 5 months? Or you can even say, I'm not ready to say. And that's okay too. I'm definitely not here to force a decision on you. But what do you say, Steve? Oh, you're on mute here. There you are.
Yeah, I say, probably within a year, you
Okay.
know.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it takes time. It takes time to propagate, correctly, and once I learn the process, but right now I know it takes time to do it, so yeah, I'm thinking a year, hopefully I can learn a lot more.
Well, you tell me what we need to teach you and guide you through, because our job as leaders is to make sure that we get that year, maybe to get to 6 months and then create it. Well, we want to shorten that unless you're going to learn in a year. But I believe me, I believe in you to do it sooner than that. But I need to know what has you say 1 year, and then what I can do to say, you know what, if we talk to enough people, if we truly can see that it isn't about the money. Okay. It's not about the money, because the money comes when you start to help people. So it's not about the money. The money's going to be there anyway. It always is, by the way. God always provides. So we got to realize, how committed can we get? How committed can we get? And I want to be committed to you in you finding that for you. Like, how committed can I get? How committed can I get? How can I, and if this is going to happen in a year, who am I going to be the day that that closes? It's a challenge. It's a real challenge, because it has to come. And this is who I wasn't before, by the way, as a coach and a trainer and a distributor. I wouldn't challenge people to actually think like, well, man, if I really close the deal, when would it be? We don't even think about the date. So it's an exciting place, and I'll give you that year. But if there's anything I can do to shorten that time span for you to have a breakthrough, because when we cause breakthroughs, our whole life changes. We see ourselves differently. And I didn't create it that way. I wish it wasn't that way, but it is that way. We have to create breakthroughs to see ourselves newly as a different person. I wish it was just I get to enjoy life every day, not creating results, and be happy. That is okay. But believe me, momentum happens when you finally make that choice that you're going to have momentum. So we got to make sure that we push you to a momentum stage. And if it takes you 1 year to get your first sale, the next two that you're going to get are going to also be within a year. And then in the third year, we're going to create faster and faster and faster. And that time frame has got to, shorten. And the reason why is just to give you power to say, I want this, and that happens. Okay. And it doesn't even have to be through a magic. It can be through anything. It's just that everything in life, and this is why I love a business like Enagic, it's going to challenge you. And once you start really putting yourself in the business, then you can see yourself as like, wow, I am powerful. To build a team, it's only, look at, Brittany is a part of my team, okay? Steve, I met Brittany about 5 years ago, Britt, is that correct? 5 years, 6 years, okay? It takes something to get to where we got to, where she's now on her own, being a leader on her own, and it's always a function of leadership, okay? And then this is very even like unknown to me. It's still like I'm developing it. But my expansion is her expansion. But so is your expansion to her. Because she wants you to break through. Believe me, she wants everybody to break through. Not for her to make more money, but because it's about people expanding. And when you expand, you know at least 300 people that Brittany doesn't know. So if she helps people because of you, that's going to make her feel really happy that she broke through so that you can help more people. Because believe me, her meeting you is a breakthrough. She'd never had to do an adjunct. This was a choice for her to say, I am going to break through. And then she met Nicole through social media. Okay. That's the power of social media. She met Nicole through a training. Through a group that was about fitness or something like that. And it turned out they lived very close to each other. Brittany made it happen. She was sharing water with Nicole through one of the machines that we had. And eventually Nicole decided, I'm going to make this decision to buy this machine. And it was a sacrifice, right? And so that sacrifice created what happens today, which is now Steve has his machine, right? And so all we got to do is keep creating breakthroughs. And that's what I wanted to also say, Nicole. I haven't called you and I'm really excited to call you, but that's actually what you've done as well, is created a breakthrough in yourself. Remember, I don't know if Nicole, if you can take your camera off, I'd be really happy to see you. But the day that I had you here at my home, and oh, there you are. Hi. And you know, we had a conversation and I said, when would you like to have your first sale? And you know, it was one of those things too, where it's like, as soon as possible, I don't know, you know, and I just want you to share with me and share with us, you know, what is it like to help another family member or friend, right? And because that was a commitment. And what did it take for you? Was there any shifts that happened for you to create something and follow through with this? There you
Hello,
are.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so for me, I mean, it was it was challenging because, like, you know, network marketing is completely new to me. For those of you who don't know me, I am an artist and I have my degree in art studio. And so a lot of the times it's just me alone doing my thing, you know, and so I don't like, and I'm also introverted. So it makes it really difficult to, you know, talk to people. Like, I get nervous about it. And that's something that I've constantly, you know, just been working on in my own personal development. And so with this, like, I mean, at first, when I first, like, Brittany told me about the opportunity to work the business, I was like, I don't know, that seems really difficult. But then, you know, she kept sharing with me about, like, you know, look at all, like, the possibilities it can create for, you know, your future family, and, you know, will it down to your kids, and like all these things. And I was like, wow, like, there's no other opportunity like that, where you can work from home and like, and just like, there's just so many benefits to being in this business. And so for me, I was like, you know, this is going to be totally out of my comfort zone, but I'm going to make it happen. Like, and I had to convince myself every day. Like, I'm still trying to convince myself every day that I am going to make it happen. I am going to be someday in your shoes, Stephanie, like at your rank, like being the one, you know, having these trainings. And like, that is a thought that scares me. But at the same time, I'm like, where else am I going to go? Like, if I'm not, you know, challenging myself and facing my fears, I'm just going to stay where I am, and I'm not going to achieve what I want to achieve. And so, you know, to share with Steve was so exciting. We've been working together for I think it's about a year now that he got hired on it our business. And so like it was just so cool to see his excitement and him fall in love with the water and how it makes him feel. But then not only that, but share it with his mom, and then seeing her love for it as well. And so just being able to, you know, go into her home and do the demonstration and actually see Brittany do the demonstration live was like, I've never seen a live one. I've only ever seen videos. And so it's just, you know, just watching her also teaches me, you know, just following her example and like, okay, someday I'm going to have to do this. So, you know, trying to also take mental notes, like, okay, this is how I would want to do it, like moving forward, and just learning everywhere that I can. And so, but it's just really, it's just an experience, like, now that they have their machine and it's coming, it's just like, it's not about me. And I think that's the part where, you know, people, it turns off a lot of people when they, you know, hear about it, and that, you know, if they hear about the, you know, the machine, oh, that sounds great. But then they hear about the pricing and they're like, oh, you're just selling this to me because you want to make money. And it's hard to communicate that to people, that no, it's not about the money. Like I have family who I've shared about the water with, who think that I'm like, they just want, they don't want me to want them, that I want them to buy it just so I can make money. And I'm like, I would be sharing this with you even if I wasn't gonna, you know, get a referral check from it. Like I don't care about the money. I know that I can go out there and get any job I want to get money. Like that's not why I'm gonna spend my energy and my time, you know, giving you the knowledge that I know and learning more knowledge so that I can give you more. Like it's not about the money. It's really about the people and the connection. And yeah. So that's how it feels for me. It's rewarding.
Yeah, no, this is really great. I love that, even giving you the space to really be here tonight and share that. And it's such a success, by the way. Your first sale is the most important one, because if you can see one done, you can see 100 done, you know, and you've got the right mind around it. You've broken through the thought of like, well, people think it's for the money, but you're like, no, it's really not, guys. Like I can keep giving it to you because I love you. That's okay. But eventually you've got to make that decision for yourself. And what's awesome about that decision is that when people make it, it comes with so much more benefit than just buying a machine. This privilege that we get, like you said, to build a business that you get to will to your children. Like I am so happy about that, because I'm like, awesome. My kids will have an awesome business where they're going to, you know, they really won't have to do very much to upkeep it, which is amazing. Like there's not a lot of businesses like that fall apart, and then you got to go back and restructure them and rebuild them. Like my business, like I said, I can take off a year, come back, and my business is exactly where I left it. I still make the commissions where I'm at, and I get to keep going forward, which is so amazing, because we need love like that in our lives. And this business is really like true love. I know we say spreading true health, one family at a time, you know, but I'm like, this is sharing true love one family at a time, because health is love in itself. And really that's what we share is, you know, I love you enough to let you know that water is damaging your body. Now open that door, you know, help me to help you this, you know. And I would just stay, you know, in prayer. And you know, I mentioned that I was like, pray for that first sale, stay grateful that, you know, we have some answers, is definitely in prayer. Like, okay, you know what, we need to cause breakthroughs, we need to, and you definitely did that already. So now it's just believing that if Steve wanted it, if you wanted it, again, there's other people out there, and you just need to be so excited about sharing it with new relationships and seeing where that goes. Like you and Brittany had no prior relationship, and look at where we are now. You're meeting her friends, and you know, seeing me and seeing other people in my life, and also being the contributor that you are by doing what you did. Like, you know, this is what tonight's about: following through, pushing through. And it led us here to be able to share your story tonight. So thank you, Nicole. Again, I want to acknowledge you, and I'm really glad that, again, we have a platform to do that on. And really just exciting to be building, because you know, we never had this, so this is new. And I'm hoping that we can just really create more through this, like to help people see that just breakthroughs are possible and everything we want is possible. So from 1A all the way to 6A, girl, we're going to be by your side. Exciting. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And all right, I'm going to keep going on with the training. I think I was moving around a little bit much, but I will go back to where I left off. So becoming aware of where you are so that you can know where you're going. And it's awesome. I'm just going to keep using some of the things that were shared tonight. Being new to something really does cause us to feel like a little bit of fear and like, I don't know which way to go. And I'm glad that even Steve brought that up, but Nicole brought that up in that, network marketing was new to her. And it's really just starting to get to find new things that are going to expand us. And I'm sure through studying these things, you found those truths that it's like, oh, it's not about the money. Plus, I do love the product. And even in that relationship process between you and Steve, he loves the product. Like he can't imagine himself drinking of the water. It's like, that's what we want to do, is instill that same vision that we caught and give it on to others. And everything we do in life and in business, even Steve mentioned solar sales. Solar is a sale. Every sale is a sale is a sale. So you have to come from a place where you believe in something and you know what you believe about that, and you start to create that in others. Okay. So it's like, if I believe solar is what can change the way how electricity works, or that people can save money through solar, like, then I'm going to instill that in other people, right? And I'm going to help them see that for themselves, to help them create, a space for them to make a decision to purchase, whatever it is. Like, you just have to find, like, how can I best sell this? And it's about you creating a breakthrough. Now, again, following through with your commitments creates confidence. So once you create one sale, you can go out there and create another one. And following through causes you to expand. So as you get good at following through on your commitments, you will trust yourself to commit more often, and others will consider you a person that can be counted on. That's what's really awesome as well, is that, people will always go towards, hey, let's create together. Nobody wants to do things alone. So people will count on you to be there if you are that person that can be counted on. And so really becoming a person of commitment and learning to follow through it's just a gift, and it really is a mindset, and mindset comes down to attitude. So you know that you are pushing your limits when you begin to fail on your commitments. This is all about expansion. Once you start to see, like, you pull away from certain things, and it's either you're contracting or you're overcommitting, which is never a problem when you're choosing the expansion. Like, expansion doesn't happen automatically. You have to choose it, right? And so when you're feeling that challenge, it's really about pushing through. And this is what following through is all about, is that if you see yourself failing, it can be one of two things. Like I said, either you're truly not committed and you're going to find your way back, or you need to find new structures and new ways to continue pushing through. And when committed, as stated in the definition, sometimes you have to restrict in freedom of action. This is from last week, that when we commit, sometimes we have to give things up in order to follow through. Okay, so I have to give up a conversation that I can't do it now, or whatever's there. What you have to give up is maybe watching less TV, right? Whatever it is, you've got to really get really good at self-diagnosing yourself, or in a sense, that's why we're here tonight, hire a coach. Make sure you get good at that, at like finding ways to cause yourself to break through. Sometimes we simply don't know how to get from A to B to C to D to, E and F. Like, we need tools, we need people to help us and guide us. And it's better to invest in ourselves and invest in what we need to in order to break through. And this can seem like a bad idea to, expand, but what you should do is simply create more structures, strategies in order to be able to keep your promises. I shared this from last couple weeks, but simply for me, a simple $7 investment on a calendar completely helped me get into an attitude of like, everything is possible. I was able to write everything down on my calendar, and just seeing it visually really helped me to realize, like, okay, I can cross things off. I felt a little bit more proud of myself. And so it really caused a breakthrough even in me. Structure and strategy. I shared this last week as well, or last couple weeks, but hiring a coach, a mentor, someone who has done it already, right? Or even if you don't have to hire them in network marketing, we have that privilege even in your own businesses, I'm sure. You can find people, you can get into a training of somebody who's teaching, who's a little bit ahead of you. Finding an accountability partner. That's really huge for me in my my fitness life, where it's like I found a committed person who wants to go to the gym, who's close by, and it's so reliable that it makes it very easy for me to keep that structure. And test yourself when you're ready to get to that next level, overcommit and see how committed you truly are. Commit to high levels and find teams, programs, books, knowledge, whatever it is you can get your hands on to cause that breakthrough in your life. And we went through this, but just keeping in mind that anything that gets in the way is really, you allow it. I think that's where we need to learn to take responsibility, is that when you're not following through, even taking baby steps is a following through. Okay. And I think that that's what's really awesome also about hiring a coach, is that sometimes we just need people who are going to acknowledge us. And that's a really big thing, because it's very underlining. I'm really grateful that I got this opportunity to acknowledge you, Nicole. And I still look forward to having a conversation with you. But to be able to acknowledge you, and even publicly, like it's something that is happening, and it's really creating just a desire for you to keep going. And and it's really just little things like that are gifts that we give to one another. And even you, Brittany, when you acknowledged me, like I do receive it, and those are things that are building us up as people. And not something we have to acknowledge every time, but when it's happening, it's creating an environment of love. It's creating an environment for others to feel support. And growth happens through support from others as well. If we have people telling us we can't do it, it's not going to work, it's not what something that's negative, right? As Steve said, when we have that lack of positivity, then it's causing us to break down. So we definitely need that support and really be there for one another. It causes just us to have more platforms to step on and keep pushing through. And when you don't follow through, just know that you create a mindset about how future experiences will be, and that causes you to begin to pull back. So anything that you're pushing up against, turn to somebody and let them know, even like the desire to pull back. I talk about these desires all the time, because I realize, okay, I'm challenged right now. I need to find a way to continue pushing through. And when I do push through, it just is really amazing, because it's like, I don't know, I feel like God is always telling me, like, no, you can keep going, and it just what we really have to keep present to is what you're committed to. What are you committed to? What are you committed to? And I love that Nicole shared this about Brittany, how she said, reminding her that, girl, you can pass this down to your legacy. Where else are you going to build something like that? If you can show me that, then I'll leave you alone. That's how I've now started to. By the way, I want to share this. This is really great that Nicole said that, Brittany. I'm really present to how you created a desire for her to open that up for herself that, maybe wasn't there for her now. And so I want to say thank you. I know Carlos is my number one supporter here all the time. And thanks, babe. But I also wanted to say that one of the things that he taught me, and I'm actually going to put this, I'm going to create a new little whiteboard. We're gonna make this fun. You guys can see my whiteboard, is that correct? Yep. You guys can see that as I'm typing. Cool, thanks, Britt. The 4 ways to invest, and this is coming from Robert Kiyosaki, but taught to me by Carlos. I'm one of those learners that once I learn something and I fall in love with it, I want to share it with the whole world. Hence why I also created a space to be able to build just something for coaching and helping, but also just with an adjunct. It's such an opportunity. And I love it because Robert Kiyosaki also promotes that network marketing is a really great way. It's the business of the 21st century. I actually found that book. Watch 1 second. Here, so these are other tools that we have been given through network marketing and just building in these businesses. But it's because of network marketing that I chose personal development as a lifestyle, like literally as a way of living, you know. But 4 ways to invest, and this is not like in yourself and things like that. This is actually how you can go out there and invest in the world. But one of the best ones, and most people know this, but real estate, right? And there's different ways to invest in real estate. That's what's really awesome, is that you can invest by owning yourself. And my father taught me this, but literally, in when you own, right, instead of renting, what happens is that every time you make a payment, rather than paying it to somebody else and paying their mortgage, what you're doing is that you're building an equity, and that equity is your value, it's your worth. So my dad explained it to me like this. He's like, and this is an excuse for him, but I'm telling you, I listen to his little excuses. I don't have a savings account because I'm just building my equity. I'm like, stop it. I want you to still have a savings account, like to have little emergency money. Geez, you know, so I can talk more about that later. But his mindset is that when I own my property, since we own property, every time I make a payment to build my, to pay my mortgages, not obviously not the interest ones only, but the ones that actually pay the principal, that principal becomes money, or that when you're paying down that principal, it's now what you're worth, right? So that's through owning. There's also through flipping homes, right? Because you invest your money to push the value of a property up, and then you go back and you pretty much get a large sum of money when you sell the home, right? And that's another way to invest. And this is called a real estate investing, um, another way to invest, right? But there's also investing in owning lots of properties, like owning apartments, right? And then I learned through Carlos something called syndications, where you can be a part of a project where they put together the whole purchase of an apartment. Because when you buy apartments, it's like buying a business, right? You buy something that people pay their rent every month, so now you have passive income coming into you. The syndication process, basically, they build the business to own the apartment complex and give you a cut from the gains of that business itself. And there's also you simply having a chunk of money and giving it, well, this is part of the syndication, is you basically lend your money, but being a lender in real estate. So there's people who do the flip projects, and instead of you having to do the project yourself, you can lend them the money so that you can get interest on your money. So it's all about using leverage when it comes to investing, and investing is all where you're going to put your money. And I'm really glad that we're having this conversation, because when you invest, it's not you investing, you know, just money. There's actually other ways to invest, which another one is a lot of times businesses do take money, but you can also, when it comes to businesses, you can also invest time and effort. Okay. But a lot of times it does take money, because you leverage some money in order to make more money. So that's why businesses are important. And now there's also buying and selling businesses. Okay. Or there's also franchising. Now, the industry of buying and selling businesses is very massive. It's created a lot of millionaires. I believe that Gary Vee is one of those that really teaches on that a little bit too. And possibly even Ty Lopez. I think he does that too. But really what they do is they build businesses and then they sell them off to larger corporations, which are mostly in the stock market. So they get bought out for millions and millions of dollars. But you do not only invest money, or sometimes you do, are just flipping even businesses, but there's just a lot of ways to invest. So it's just really like finding an area that you find yourself comfortable in doing. Another thing they call it assets, and a lot of this I learned from Carlos, so I hope he's listening to me right now. He's probably really happy for me that I really learned this. The paper assets world is all the stocks. I didn't even know what this was, but options, and we mostly call this trading. But then there's also life insurance and products like mutual funds and things like that. So finding something, some of these are risky, and some of these are like mutual funds can be a little bit more less risky, right? Like you'll sometimes sometimes some of these assets will make over a 15%, but because there's other people in between, brokers who are actually using your money to invest, what's happening here is that you're only making maybe up to a 7%, or when the markets drop, you're only making a 0.5%. So you're still never going to lose that money, but it's always going to be expanding. So there's different companies out there who can provide these kinds of, you know, ways to invest as well. So that's something to look into as well. And then the final way to invest here, I'm just going to make a little bit of room. I always forget one when I'm doing this stuff, but it's real estate, businesses, paper assets, and then it's gold and silver, simply because it doesn't lose value, or even in the sense currencies. So that's just one thing to ask yourself, you know, what are you going to do for yourself? So I want to focus on really talking about this whole business area, because, you know, right now, a really huge opportunity is building with other people, right? I'm sorry, I don't know why it's not letting me go back to writing on there. But I wanted to talk about businesses, because I realized that when we're selling this opportunity, we have to ask people, like, do you have money to invest in real estate? Do you have money to invest in stocks and options to really make a living from it, right? Or do you have a large amount, like, do you have the knowledge? Because some of this stuff takes knowledge as well. Do you even have access to the gold and silver? Like, do you even know how to get that, right? So most of it is going to take learning, right? But so is it like that in network marketing, right? Because like Nicole mentioned, like, I knew nothing about network marketing. So sometimes when we don't have the money truly to invest, we got to think about, what are the other resources that I have, right? And so when we talk about the 5 currencies, as I mentioned almost in every single training, you have relationships. You do have a little bit of money, I'm sure. Everyone has a little bit of money, or you can have credit and have leverage. You also have your time, you have energy, and I always forget one, like I said, time, energy, money, relationships. Oh man, let me pull it up. I do have that in one of my trainings. One second. And the other one is right here, knowledge. Okay. And so these are our 5 currencies. And when we look at the 5 currencies, you have to ask yourself, what am I going to do from now till the time I retire? So this is really a good question, because it's a function of investing. And when you start investing, it's really very important to recognize that, you know, sometimes if you don't have the money, you can start investing your time in building a business. And that's what I really like about network marketing, is that as you get yourself into these kinds of businesses, the goal of the leader should always be to develop you. It should be to get you to that next level. And that's what you got to find yourself in as well. Like, find yourself in a business where that person is interested in your growth. And that's where you want to invest your time. And usually that's going to happen when you get committed to getting close to your leader as well, right? So it's really about what you're willing to put in, and asking yourself, am I ready to grow to that next level? And what do I have? What type of currency do I have? Do I have relationships? Do I have money? Do I have the knowledge? Do I have the time? Do I have energy? And telling yourself, if I don't have these things, where can I get them? Who can teach me how to get them? And asking yourself what you want, because you got to first know, where am I going to? This is where I am, right? You got to get present to where I am and where I want to go. And it's never easy. Sometimes you're just in the battle of cleaning things up. I've been there, and it's a place where you have to honor and respect that that's a season. If you found yourself not where you wanted to be, and really starting to find yourself really passionate about breaking through that to get to where you truly want to be. So, and this is all just, again, it's part of living. It's part of, you know, allowing yourself to get through to that next level. And I'm really glad that I could provide this knowledge for you guys today. But I am going to, it is 8:30 now. I don't know if there's anybody else who has any questions at all, who would like to share their questions, but if not, I will just go ahead and start closing out the final things that we have here on the presentation. I just closed it for some reason. Here we are. And does anybody have any other questions? We have shy people. I don't know why. I don't know why. I really want you guys to ask questions if you have any, but if we don't, then I will make sure we will share the last things here. So let me just Awesome. Well, I'm just gonna finish off the last thing here. Do you have any other questions for me, Steve? Here, anything that showed up for you? Or you're good? No, I see you got your camera back on. Okay, no problem. I see you there. Alex, do you have any questions there? I see you have your camera available too. No. Okay, you just close your camera. Carlos, can you hear me? Carlos? I can't hear you. Hi.
Yes,
You want to share with
you
people
doing?
about
You
4 ways
you
to?
did a really good job explaining.
Oh, did I? Thank you.
Yeah, and you did a really good job just explaining, Robert Kiyosaki, how he talks about there's 4 different ways, right? You can invest in business, you can get into real estate investing, and that in itself is just huge, huge, huge world within real estate. You can invest and learn how to invest in paper assets, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, trading options. And that in itself is huge. You can make a lot of money trading within the paper asset, world. You can learn about business, invest in a business, you can buy a franchise, you can form a partnership, you can joint venture, you can get involved with multi-level marketing, right? And start that. But I do want to emphasize that you really should invest in yourself. The best investment is really in yourself, in your mind, and dialing in on what you want to do, what you want to focus on. There's many, many shiny objects and com- com- commodities and real estate and business. There's so many shiny objects, and the worst thing that people can do is just not really go all in into a certain type of asset class, right? If you're trying to learn how to invest in flipping houses, learn how to invest in flipping houses, and don't learn how to invest in flipping land or flipping multifamily apartments. There's so many different ways to flip within real estate, right? You can flip houses, flip duplexes, you can flip land. We wholesale, so we flip contracts, a niche within real estate. There's just so many shiny objects. You can get into the Airbnb business. We have one ourselves and it's not doing too well, but I mean, that's another shiny object too. So it's like Robert Kiyosaki says, the best investment should be in yourself. Just learn all you can do, learn how the true, wealthy use the power of taxes to grow their wealth, the power of leverage, the power of debt. And there's a reason why the wealthier don't really, they pay lower in taxes. It's within the tax law, it's within the tax code. It's written there for you and I and staff and everybody in this call to use the tax law for leverage and grow our wealth. We can all use those laws. They're there for us to use, but why don't people know those laws? It's because they're definitely not taught, in grade school, maybe in college, but people just don't take the time to actually learn, so just study the wealthy and kind of, go all in business. Robert Kiyosaki says the business of the 21st century is multi-level, marketing. And there's a pretty good reason why. There's a lot of people, that's a big shiny object too. Pick something, choose something. I chose, flipping houses and piling money to buy multifamily apartments, and I'm all in. And that's what we focus on. So it's really about just picking something that matters, that you like, that you enjoy, and just fully commit. So, but you gotta really invest in your mind first and foremost, right, Steph?
Yes, thank you. That was really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Brought up those yeah, topics of leverage and debt and taxes is a huge one, and just the benefit. I think that's another way we definitely sell our business as well. It's like it's a tax write-off. You're either going to pay taxes or you can write it off on your your 10 or your taxes on your 1099. It's one of those things where, you know, it's a benefit for us to have a machine in a business and things like that. So that's a really good one too. And I talk about that by having even, just a business open, you can write off everything. Like I say, everything is part of my business. When I look good, my hair and my nails, it's part of my uniform. I have to show up looking great. And that's part of me investing in my business because it is a lifestyle business. And so that's another way I've learned to, in a sense, you know, it's kind of like using the system. I'm not going to call it cheating the system because it's really leveraging the system and the benefit of having that tax write-off, and it's all there. It's a privilege, having an auto that you want to drive, and using that as another tax deduction, and using your gas as a tax deduction, using um, your meals. Right now, one of the things that happened with taxes since COVID and restaurants being really hit is that usually when you write off your meals, it's only 50% of a benefit. This year, 2021, we're going to be able to deduct 100% of that. So there's just certain things like, getting instructed in things like that and using that as a way to keep more of your money, like you said, rather than giving it back to the government because we'll never see it again. So, and learning that, there are ways that the government even does help businesses, like during COVID. Just alone in our construction business, I already got one of the PPP loans forgiven for $23,000 that was basically handed to us, and it's completely free money. So knowing where the resources are and finding people that will give you those resources, that will share those resources with you, and staying up to date with things like that, because even COVID was a huge opportunity for businesses to get ahead. And um, that's what's really awesome. And so thank you, Carlos, also for sharing. I appreciate that. And this is what's really awesome is that, tonight was a commitment as well. And I want to close out with this beautiful, last piece of work here is that people commit to a group or organization because they gain something important from their involvement. And when you invite them to become involved, you are not only asking for their help, you are offering them an opportunity to work on an issue that is important to them. You're offering them an opportunity to benefit the community, like you guys all who have shared today. You meet and spend, I have a person coming in, 1 second. You meet and spend time with like-minded people. You become a part of a team. You learn how to lead. You rise to a challenge. You meet high standards, and 1 second, and you also accomplish something significant. Making a difference in the world is actually very significant. And so I just want to say, thanks for everyone who definitely shared and has, been here present with us tonight. And I'm going to just close out with, the reason I do this is I really want to be able to provide really a space for somebody to turn to someone. I keep mentioning it's definitely important to hire a coach, to be around people who want to get ahead, who have some resources, who have, just knowledge more than you got to get around it, because it's basically an easy way to get ahead. Okay. It's like definitely a big secret to getting ahead. So I want to make sure that you guys know that I am available not only as a distributor and also just as an entrepreneur. Everything that I've learned from building my father's business and turning it around, which I'll share more on that later. But I want to let you guys know that I have created a program where it's an online course, and I have put together content for 7 steps to becoming a network marketing professional. So this is coming from a book called Go Pro from Eric Worre, and he basically broke down the 7 steps. I love breaking things down into steps, and just I believe in mastering the steps, right? First is learning the steps, and then it's mastering each and every step. And actually, the final step in building, becoming a network marketing professional is to create events or promote the events. And so part of my strategy is obviously like hiring Kate so she can help me promote. And at the same time is also, here we are in an event, so it's really awesome because these are things that I've learned from becoming a network marketing professional. And definitely, I'm so glad even that you mentioned, Nicole, like it's something that I see myself having to do in the future. And It's a lot of fun. And again, it creates an opportunity to help people. But we also have a mindset series, a strategy series, and a lifestyle series, all a part of the course. And I put it all together in a bundle, right? But this is what I find the value would be, 197 for the course. I also am offering 2 strategy coaching calls where I will go over the 7 equities of your life. So we will rate every area of life in the 7 equities, which are your relationship life, which are your health, your business or career, sorry, call it career, and then also your financial life and your, I always forget when I'm like listing things, but the point is there's 7 of them, and we go through each and every one of them, and we will rate those areas of your life, and we will create goals based on the gap. So if you basically, if you chose a 6 for that area of your life, I would ask you what would create a 7, or even take it to all the way to the top, what would create a 10. Some people get stuck when I ask them the question of like, what would create a 10 in that area of your life? But sometimes people can't look that far, and I just say, okay, let's just go one step up. What would it look like to create a 7? Right? So we start to create our strategies and based on our goals. And the second call is usually to create a strategy for your next 2 to 3 moves of whatever area is important to you. So I get connected to what is important to you and how can we create a breakthrough. And I found this beautiful quote when it comes to coaching, that great change requires support. So if you could have done it yourself, you would have done it by now. So that's why it's super important to consider just coaching and really getting some help and a bird's eye view from the outside. And so those 2 things together would be 497. But I'm looking forward to, I see COVID is now almost closing up. And as I just clear some of the things out of my life and get more people involved in the program, I want to have a live training and events.
Jeez.
I am back.
Hello? Okay.
Thank you, Kate. Awesome. I got a little bit of a glitch, little social media glitch. No problem. We're back on track. But I was saying events is where the magic happens. So being in person is way more personable. It's way more exciting. But I want to have a private mastermind. I have had this privilege and experience before of creating an event like this in a Hollywood place with a beautiful scenic view with the Hollywood sign. So I look forward to finding another place and really just making it something awesome. And oh my gosh, I can hope one day to even do it out of the country. If not, I might just make it a private event. But either way, I am looking forward to creating events. So obviously, anybody who's training and coaching with me would have this opportunity to come together and be at my event. And all of this is actually for 297. I am this is definitely a contribution project, but it's also something that I am truly committed to and still finding myself in this place as a coach. So I definitely want to just work with more people and help them to cause those breakthroughs. And so if there's anything that I can do to help you, I want to make it very easy. No, I'm not asking for anybody to say if they're committed or not tonight, but right now, if you are interested, you can go to trainwithstephanie.com. This will send us an email. There is a questionnaire there that will ask us for your name and your number, and you can give us just a little bit of an overview of that you're interested, and we will know to reach out and tell you more information. So if there is no more questions, if there is questions, please feel free. If not, you can always reach out at trainwithstephanie.com. Like I mentioned, it does go straight to our email. And but I'm really grateful that you guys all came on tonight, that we get to create a space and really just grow together, you know, and this is what this is all about. And the next topic is on reward. So and reward is more about you and how you treat yourself after a big win. So that's what's exciting, is that really, like I mentioned, acknowledgement is a huge thing, and it is really something that makes a difference. So that's what that conversation will be about. And if you even recognize how you reward yourself, or if you reward yourself, and if you give yourself that opportunity to share with enough people that, hey, you know what, I created a breakthrough. I really do just want some acknowledgement, right? And allowing yourself to receive that. So thank you all for being here tonight. But if there is no questions, I will close out the night a little early. Usually we finish around 9 p.m., but we are at 8:47. So I've got a few minutes if you guys want to stay on, but if not, I will close the meeting now. All right. I want to say thanks to Salvador. Thanks to Alex. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Kate and Carlos. I see you there too. Nicole. Thank you, Ken. I do see that you're here. Awesome. So if we have no more questions, I will close out the night. And thank you guys. You guys can find these trainings on YouTube. I will be posting them. So if you have any friends or family that you think can get any value from them, feel free to share it with them as well. Awesome, guys. Well, have yourselves a good night, and we will catch you again in a couple of weeks. Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Bye-bye.
Cool. Take care, Britt. She's still on here? Oh, no, she left early. Got it. Awesome, guys. Well, have a good night. Bye-bye. Nice to meet you, Steve. We'll see you again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good night.